In this lesson, we're going to work on the metal textures of our weapon. Alright, so let's go ahead and work on the main portion of the weapon, and that's going to be this Parkerized metal. If we left click on this little folder here, it's going to enter into the group, and we can see that we have some different materials that we can use. And I'm looking at this, and I'm not really happy with the way that looks. It's close, but it doesn't give me that old, worn look that I'm looking for. And so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to actually back up, and I'm going to go to the main albedo group here, and we're going to click on this Add Smart Material. If we left click on that, it's going to bring up our Smart Material browser, and actually the material browser I should say. And let's go ahead and resize this window so we can see that. And in this, we can actually choose from all of the different materials or smart materials that Quixel has to offer. So let's go up to Composite, Metal, and let's choose one of these metals that looks good to us. So I'm going to scroll pretty close down to the bottom. You can look through those if you like, but what I'm looking for is something like a gunmetal. And these are pretty close to the bottom here. So we have this black gunmetal. If we go down, we have this scuffed gunmetal. Okay, either one of those will work pretty well. I kind of like this black gunmetal here. We've got these nice edge wears and things like that going on. So let's go ahead and hit create on that. And it's going to go through its process, and it's going to create that metal. Okay, you'll see how that looks. Okay, and for me, looking at that, honestly, that's a little too much for me. I don't want it to look that worn. So what we can do is we can go ahead and delete that off. So delete it out. It's going to go through its process again. It'll bring it back to their original state, which is fine. Let's go ahead and add another smart material. And instead of using that again, and I hope I don't have to resize this every time. Instead of using that one, let's go ahead and use the scuffed gunmetal on that. So here's scuffed, and we'll create that. Give that just a moment. And there, that looks a little bit better. That's easier to work with. All right, now looking at this, couple of things about it. Notice that the gunmetal material has gone over the entire surface of this, besides the brass pieces. It's gone over the wood and all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change its mask. So if we left click on this, it's going to go into this mask mode, and I can't add my mask to it. This is as if I want to create a new one, but I don't want to do that. I've already got a mask that I've created for it. So let's go ahead and left click right here, and let's put this on the Parkerized metal, which was that red ID, and notice where it goes now after that comes back up. Okay, you'll notice here that it's still on that, and for some reason it's not associating to that. So let's go ahead and right click on that mask, and you can see that it says Parkerized steel. Let's go ahead and left click on that red and then hit done, and that should update the mask here. And there we go. Now we're getting that proper placement on that. So you just have to be careful of what that is. Now this Parkerized metal that we have here, we're not going to be using that anymore, so let's just go ahead and deselect or delete that selected. Okay, now we have our brass, and the brass looks okay. For the most part, I don't really like the color, and I don't like the reflectivity of that. It's just a little too high for me. And so what I want to do is I want to go ahead and left click on that brass folder, and let's adjust the brass reflectivity. We don't want it to be so high, giving us this really high reflectivity and making it look very bright. We want to bring that down and maybe even make that a little more saturated and hit OK. Now the color is still going to be the same, but now we're starting to get something that looks a little more believable and what brass would actually look like on a weapon like this. Now we can go ahead and continue to draw that down a little bit more, make that a little darker, maybe add some more color, and just really dial that in. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Let me bring that back up just a bit, just to give that a little bit more color there. Okay. Now once that's finished, let's go ahead and go back, and let's start working on the hammer of this, and actually the trigger as well. So this is actually on the steel right here. Let's go ahead and add a smart material to this, and I'm going to go ahead and left click on this, add smart material, and I apologize for that window crossing the entire time. Hopefully that can change. Let's go to metal, and let's scroll down, and I want to find another metal, but I want it to look a little more scuffed. So we have that black gunmetal, we have painted metal. I think I'll go with that black gunmetal on that, and we'll create that. I want it to look more worn than what this is here. Now with that, it's going to apply it to the entire surface again, and what we need to do is we need to go ahead and give it the correct mask. So in this case, you can see the mask is all wrong. So I want to right click on this, and I'm going to say, nope, we don't want to do Parkerize. We want to go ahead and do this on the orange. So click on anything that's orange there, and then we'll hit done. And that should go through the process. We should get our previous texture back. We do, and there you can see that we've got this worn metal on the hammer and also on the trigger. So you'll also see that it's got this orange color here. Okay, we can see it by its mask. Now let's left click on that folder, and let's change the color of that. So the scratched metal, I want it to kind of look like this brass color. So I'm going to bring that down into kind of that brass color there, and you can kind of see what that's going to look like on the texture. And then whenever we hit OK, we can see how that looks. Now here we may have to go ahead and change the lighting model that's being used. So let's go to one of these brighter ones. Kind of see how that looks there. And I like the way that is starting to come through. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch back to that second one, or even the third one. I'm going to go with the third one on that one. Kind of gives me an idea of what that's going to look like. Very cool. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and get the wood. Now, as we've seen, we don't have a smart material for wood. And just to kind of prove that to you, if we come in and we go to, let's take care of that steel as well. Let's go ahead and remove that. If we try to add another smart material, we won't find wood in there. So we need to actually create a material. We need to add one. And so we're going to go through that process on how to create your own materials with your own textures and then apply them to your game mesh. So I'll see you then.